Have you ever been to an event where you were blown away? I have. October 2019, Smiles at Sea, my first introduction to this fantastic world where education meets fun. Many of you here have been to the Dental Festival before or to Smiles at Sea, and so you know what I'm talking about. A lot of industries right now are struggling to host events, but not my friend, Mr. Elijah Desmond. There's a reason for that. You see, Elijah had a vision, and to make that dream a reality, he put together a rock star team. You've seen them. They're dancing, they're excited, they're happy to be here. He took that team and then he built systems and processes to build an experience not only highly educational, but one that we'll never forget. Lastly, he has the social proof necessary because everybody knows if you want to have a good time, all you have to do is come down to Florida and hang out with us. There's a lot that we can learn from Elijah. When he calls upon the dental community to come to an amazing event, the dental community says yes. And if you follow these systems, your leads will say yes too. I love marketing. I'm a marketer by trade, and I understand it can be frustrating. Oftentimes, people put money into marketing with little ROI. But I want to challenge your thinking. If you're able to address your culture first, modify the patient experience, and then invest in your marketing, well, you've maximized your investment. So today, I'm going to talk about how to build that cultural foundation. Next, I'll share how to apply that to the patient experience. And lastly, we'll talk about the importance of social proof. Now, I know what you may be thinking. Culture is a soft skill. We need to focus on productivity and results. But consider this. Statistics show that right now, our team members spend 4 hours per week actively engaged in conflict or thinking about conflict. That's 2 weeks per team member per year that you've lost. For office managers, that statistic is even higher. So that's money that you've lost where your culture suffers. That's turnover that you can't catch up on. What if I said that by developing your culture, you could keep your team happy, productive, meet your goals, and create a marketing experience unlike any other? So, culture is the basis of everything in your practice. Why are we not talking about it? We are today. Now, as a leader, how you communicate with your team and vice versa is the foundation of culture. There needs to be what's called vulnerability-based trust. So, can your team come to you with their personal failures? Perhaps most importantly, can you do the same? It must be reciprocal because oftentimes leaders and dentists are put on a pedestal. And if we break down those barriers, we're able to make our culture and team even stronger. The next point that I'd like to talk about goes back to empowerment. So dentists, I'm talking to you. You have 1,000,001 things on your plate, and I get that. How great would it be if you could spend your time in the chair doing what you love instead of the things you don't like to do and probably aren't very good at, right? So you need to foster an environment that promotes growth, and you need to be able to let these things go. And what I've learned along the way is that when you give someone something new to do, they probably won't do it in a way you find satisfactory the first time, or frankly, even the second time. But you can choose to snatch it back up and have it done your way, or you can let it go and trust the process. You can love on your team, you can train them and trust in them. One gets you results quicker, but one protects the longevity of your team and your culture. The next point I want to talk about goes back to philosophy. Dentists, what is your mission, your vision, and your core values? I want you to consider, why are you in dentistry in the first place? It's been a huge lifelong investment. I want you to share your why with your team and celebrate it, and they'll appreciate you for it. What are your core values? Every day is an opportunity to make an example of them. We can't simply put them up on the wall and walk away. No. They're an accountability tool for you and your team. So we have communication, philosophy, empowerment. That's a winning combination. Pair that with some systems and processes, and you have an experience that everyone will rave about. That 2 weeks per team member you lost last year, this is the kind of stuff that will prevent that from happening. By creating a positive work environment, your team will be more motivated to serve hard and deliver to your patients. So next, we're going to talk about how we're going to do that with the patient experience. I'm not going to talk much about what you should be doing. Scented towels and iPads are wonderful, but what's most important is the consistency. Do you have the right people in the right seats delivering exceptional care to your patients every single time? Here's an example of a tool you can use. One thing that I recommend is that you have your team write down everything they do daily, weekly, monthly, and this is used for accountability, consistency, and training. Here's an example. You have Mary, your front desk concierge, and she calls patients on their birthday. Well, Mary has to go on vacation. So this is where communication and empowerment really matters. We need to be able to communicate our needs to our team with that list, but also be able to empower them and understand they're probably not going to do it the same way Mary did it, but that patient's going to appreciate it no matter what. The next point I wanted to bring up has to do with sociology. There is a component called front stage versus backstage. And in this theory, the front stage is where patients are present, and the backstage is where patients are not. So in this instance, I would want all team members to pretend that they're always in the front stage, the center stage, if you will, and always pretend that a patient is around even if they're not. That means that your patients and your team will notice your attention to detail and that fabulous smile. So now that we've talked about applying culture to the patient experience, I want to explain why social proof is so important and tie this whole thing together. So social proof is a concept by Robert Cialdini, and it says that we look to others to see how to behave. So I don't know about you guys, but when I want to go to a new restaurant, I don't look at the restaurant's website. What do I look at? Reviews. So how do you achieve social proof? There's 1,000,001 ways. As my coach Catherine says, there's a lot of right ways to do things. So social media engagement, testimonials, targeting current patients and ads, that's my favorite. But why is this important? When you build a patient experience that's exceptional and you have a culture where your team is motivated and willing to do the work, your patients are going to do all the work that you need for your marketing. They're going to tell everybody. And isn't that what you want? Wouldn't you rather invest in your team than invest marketing dollars? And this is how. So I have a lot of doctors that come to me and they say, Ashley, I've worked really hard in my marketing and I've paid a lot of money and it's not working. What's going on? But they have cyclical turnover and their culture is suffering. You have to focus on your culture first before making any investment elsewhere in the practice, or else it's not going to work. And that's what I love about Elijah, is that he focused on culture first. He built his team, and then he built the social proof, because we all know how fun these events are, right? So, we've talked a lot today about building your culture and about applying it to the patient experience, and lastly, the importance of social proof. Now, I've spoken with Elijah about this, and he told me that there have been some roadblocks along the way, and the same goes for you in your journey, and that's okay. But like I said, he built the systems first, then he relied on social proof, and that's what's most important. If you do the same, your leads will say yes, just like all of you said yes to Elijah. And I want to give him a shout out because he really exemplifies team culture. When we came in the other day and he came up on stage and it was the big welcome, it was so exciting, the first thing he did was invite his team on stage and give them a round of applause. So just like you said yes to Elijah, your leads will say yes to you. And just like the dental festival, your practice will thrive. Thank you very much.